Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. Great. We see. Okay, so what I'm trying to summarize is we have a lot of possibility. We have listened from Margaret Ma, who has done a lot of successful possibility in Western. She could able to create a happy, blissful education system, and they could able to talk to the entire educational ecosystem and create positive changes. And we have Gurukul, where Ma Durga and Ma Vimukta was sharing that how they could able to bring changes in the kids. Okay, so this, yes, there are good possibilities are there, and here I would like to it's this all not in the government framework. Still, in our government we are talking about skill development. So to summarize, what I'm just thinking is there are a focus on just skill, and neuroscience kind of a concepts are coming to the brain development. So you have something at a low level called skill development. Little higher level we talk about the brain development. But once again, as Mamla was telling, what are you going to do? Once again, you do all this neuroscience, this and that, and finally you want to get the best result out of mark out of, unless and until the system changes outside, unless and until the thought process of the education, of the basic definition of education changes in the Vatavarna and for an individual, particularly for the parents. So here the parents are the very key changes. Unless and until Swamiji very nicely says, what is parenting is nothing but your conscious evaluation. As long as I'm not evolved as an individual, okay, I will always think my fears, my greeds would be expressed as my parenting. So here the education market, parenting plays a very important role. And what is the system available outside, that also playing the very important role. So on this count, what is the possibility we can generate, or what are the things we can make a change in the external thing? I want Nilesh ji to say a few words. Yes, Nilesh ji.
Namaskar. So wonderful to hear what's going in the Gurukula. And I would, if you would have asked me the question, how to solve this problem for young children, frankly, I'm so glad to hear it's working. I wouldn't have known because that's unfortunately not my experience. Now, quickly, I'll tell you with our experience at Institute of Advanced Sciences, predominantly we are a research oriented. So there is no, what do you call, the teaching component per se, but we are introducing the teaching component. And I'm just, for a lack of a name, I'm calling it Pancha Siddhanta, and don't ask me what those 5 Siddhanta are. But one of the point we are trying to emphasize, the way we are designing the courses, these are through online, which is the power of the media, the power of the technology, is that irrespective of the number, we want to give a experience of 1:1, like a student to teacher ratio of a 1:1. That doesn't mean in reality there are 1,000 students and 1,000 teachers. It could be even a one teacher, but the way we make use of technology is to do that. The second one, for example, number of you who remember taking the exams the old way, at least in the Indian system. So if you get 35 marks out of 100,
Can
you were
pass.
considered pass, right?
Yes.
Which means if you are ignorant about 65% of the syllabus, even just the syllabus, you are still considered good. And there is something very problematic about it. So some of the tests we are designing, yes, there has to be some kind of examination to see if the student is up to the mark, but it doesn't need to be in terms of the marks. So just to take a simple example, if it is a making of a dosa, I don't know if everyone knows what that is, a pancake, for example. Um, Someone may not able to make it as good as the other person, and that's perfectly fine. But if it's a dosa, at the end of it, the end product should taste like a dosa, it should smell like a dosa, it should be well cooked, okay, not undercooked. And with over time, in the iterative fashion, they learn. And again, so we have to go back to what their passion is. Quickly, I will say something in the defense of the memory. Like, you mentioned the word ratta, and that's how we used to hate it.
Correct.
But again, the reason we hated is because we were wondering why I have to remember this. On the other hand, if you match with the person's passion, what that person wants to learn or excel in, and then the memory is not a problem.
Exactly.
Uh,
Good.
then, like
Absolutely.
children, like my daughter, if she has to remember the songs, she remembers thousands of songs. but the capitals of all the countries in the world, then she struggles. Okay. So I think, I mean, if you have to match that, and I think that's what we are doing at, this is about 21, by the way. So Ma Durga Nandaji, what you are doing is great, because we need those students ready. And frankly, I find it extremely frustrating dealing with the PhDs and double PhDs and whatnot. They have these degrees, and when I ask them, why did you do this PhD in that subject, they cannot even answer that simple question. So that we have a
Oh.
long way to go, but it's all exciting.
Yeah, it's not only the PhD. Even coming back to our school systems and syllabus, we are doing little research on how is particularly the Indian education system. Whether we found a simple pattern, they have done nothing difference between what they were before pre-independence. They're just following committee after committee. Everything was following to the extent after 60, 70, it got spoiled also. I really don't understand why I have to learn Ashoka has to plant a tree from 6th standard, 7th standard, 8th standard. So I thought in India the tree is there only because of Ashoka, or sorry, Akbar, or whatever it is. I was wondering what the hell. No, I never know. Now once I just come back out of the system and I just look back and say what the hell I was reading it. I mean, we are not even. I'm not just expecting them to talk about Mughal invasion or something like that, but not even the basic thought current, basic thought process has not gone into it. So my question to you, Nilesh, is can you just quickly, and it may be a little out of our topic, just quickly tell what is your book is about, this Ramayana and Mahabharata. You made it beautifully. You try to prove on a scientific way. It's not methodology, and you just prove that it's a science from many theories, from oceanography, migration theory, and from astronomy. You used a fantastic tools and try to prove it. Just give a quick glimpse of it so that our
Okay.
audience can come to know what drives you and what is the subject is about. I know
Okay.
this subject we have to talk in a
Right.
separate panel itself, but it can be a small glimpse or an introduction. Please go ahead.
Right. No, very good. And I'll do that in the context of the education that we are discussing. Um, so I discuss this as a three-way, three different aspects, three axes, if you want to call it. Shraddha is the reverence, the conviction, you can call the trust. Okay. And then the buddhi, or you can call the samshay. Now, samshay is not a bad word. The doubt, the is not a bad word. And the third one is a jidnyasa, which is in a simple way we interpret as or translate as a curiosity. But it's not an ordinary curiosity. Most of the people simply say, hey, tell me what you did. And I'm saying, why don't you find out what I did? Okay, which is to say a pregnant curiosity, which is you have a specific purpose. And so briefly, what started with me with these three is I was wondering why when the matter in the text, say Mahabharata Ramayana, is so elaborately discussed, why people doubt it. So then I started my researching it my own, more so understanding it. And then I realized that there are enough things that can be objectively tested, which is to say, if I see something that you will able to see the same way what is being stated in the text, like say Purana, Mahabharata, or when you talk about your experiences in the meditation, maybe I will not able to show it, but I can describe it, and the other person can go do the meditation and experience the same thing. But in this case, we can do that on a visual way. And what I able to do, this took me one particular shloka, one particular verse of Mahabharata took me. Actually, I naively thought, I was in Canada, and I thought one weekend and I'm going to solve that problem. Amlaji talked about the astronomy, astrophysics. Varamir, you know what Varamir says? He says, unless you understand astronomy, there is no liberation. Well, it's not that everyone has to understand astronomy. The point is, if you find something that you feel very passionate about that serves the society and you excel in it, that's your liberation. So
Good.
I found my liberation not by choice or not by some plan, into finding the exact dating of the Mahabharata, that they're actually historical events. I did the same thing. That's like going back to 7,500 years ago. And hopefully you are hanging on to your chairs and nobody falls off. Because when I go to the academic conferences, they just go, their head goes haywire when I go to Oxford and places like that. Then I did the same thing for Ramayana, and I showed that Ramayana happened, the physical event, the historical event, more than 14,000 years ago. And our Vedas, Rigveda especially, is definitely much older than 22,000 years or 24,000 years. That is in summary of my research of 30 years.
Oh, That's great. So I wish that this becomes a syllabus. When we are doing little research, we were finding that before, when we have a Gurukul syllabus, Ramayana and Mahabharatam is a part of primary studies. Means the kid before age of 11, 12, everyone knows Ramayana, and Sanskrit is by default, it was a language every Indian was learning it. Now, of course, now there is no, it's completely being a secular syllabus, it's completely out of it, and only from an external environment the kid has to learn. And we have been very clearly proved, after long year, it's a mythology. So maybe your studies get into our education system, and we started looking this as a not as a mythology, it's really our history.
Yes.
That is a change has to happen. Nilesh, do you foresee anything will happen in our new education policy? So any possibility that, have you tried anything on that front, so that I get out of this Akbar and other things, and so read as a, Indian kids at least start reading this. Any possibilities are there? Are you
Okay.
working on that front?
Yeah, well, you ask a timely question. I say timely because if you would have asked me this question 3 days ago, I didn't have a good answer. Okay,
Okay.
just yesterday, and I don't want to disclose too many things,
Uh,
but someone from the Ministry of Education, if you can believe that,
oh,
contacted me, the government of India.
God, that's a good thing.
Okay, and I don't want to disclose too many things, but some things are happening
Very good.
which surprise me, frankly. And this has nothing to do with the political will. The political will is also there, but once it starts percolating down to actually the execution, that's where it gets lost. And I feel this time, there can be a many false starts. I think that something is happening. Okay, so we have to be very cautious, not
Cautious.
over optimistic. It may take some time, but yes, things are happening, things are changing. And guess what? It's not going to come from the government. Again, what is that? Ma Nitya Premananda ji, talked about voting and whatever that internal system is. Every citizen, and I'm talking of the world, but for a given a specific country, when they actively participate, okay, there is a pressure in the politics. If the
Exactly.
politicians know that for a vote they need to do the right things, then they will start taking steps in the right direction. So yes, just to answer your question, I'm very optimistic. Something very interesting, some very exciting things are happening. But again, realize that this is a deracination of at least 70 years since 1947.
Absolutely. It
So
takes
it
some
will
time.
take time, but it's a very optimistic and very positive picture.
Yes, absolutely. It's a very good, confident message. That's why from Kailasa we emphasize and we request all the viewers to vote it. This is a thing they understand. This is a language people understand. Even it's a political mission or economic system or any ecosystem understand these numbers. So as a 2 billion Hindus, if we just raise our voice, okay, very non-violently and very affirmatively, very confidently, we are just giving the message to the world that okay, we want to be a vegetarianism in this way, and we don't want it to have any religious conversions to happen. You can differ, like you can just say yes, it should not be imposed, it has to be imposed, no, it has to be an option. So as always, Hinduism purely respects democracy. Please do vote. Prematma Sami, you wanted to reiterate that URL, please, you can just say that. Take a minute to do it, please.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, thank you. Yes, our voices matter. It is important. I know again and again, the only thing that I'm going to say is we are in the situation, eating the Macaulay education because we did not voice our, make our voices heard. It is time now that Swamiji has given this opportunity for us to make our choices. So let us not wait. Please cast your vote at kailasa.org/Hindu votes. Actually, I was just listening to this whole discussion and also what we were discussing earlier. Like when I grew up, growing in schools, like filled with Christian missionaries around, not many options to go to Hindu education, to choose Hindu education. I was forced to, wear, dress up as a Christian, basically, like not having the freedom to wear a Hindu mark, a bindi, or to wear vibhuti to school, or to
Yes.
wear flowers to school. All of this was pretty much, did not have that choice, that freedom. And because of the the education system, not many was available. The Hindu education system was not available prevalently, and we were forced pretty much to in a way to live a Christian lifestyle growing up. And this is one way of, as we are discussing since last week's about conversion, how this education system is imposed on us. Basically, the value that the Hindu education system has, that has been totally demolished and eradicated pretty much, and we were forced to study the Western way of education system. And here we are. It is so beautiful to hear all the panelists sharing their experiences and how we are bringing it, and how Swamiji is reviving this education system, the Gurukul education system. So a bright future awaits all of us. But the only thing that we need to do is, as our responsibility, make your voices heard. And we have a platform for that, the only Hindu nation, the greatest Hindu nation on planet Earth, Kailasa. So please visit our website, kailasa.org, and cast your vote in with respect to the religious conversion that we are been discussing since last week. And today, a very important discussion on Hindu education system and its role. So thank you, Aya. I'm just going to remind everyone, please visit our website, kailasa.org/Hindu votes, and cast your vote and make our voices heard. Hindu voices do matter. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Absolutely. Okay, so that's all. So we've had a very nice discussion on our purpose, what are the problems we face, and what is the possibilities. And we heard, yeah, there are some good, possible, successful case studies are there. And I'm just taking this discussion to the next thing, rather the last part of our panel discussions. Well, so how from now we discussed enough. If I just ask you, ask Amalama, ask Nileshaya, ask Sandhyaya, that what would you do differently? Assume that there's all the obstacles we don't have, we didn't have, or it was not existing at all. What would we do different? That's one question. The other dimension of the question is what we can do right now immediately, so that we can make the education, the ideal education, what we are looking for to happen. So that is the question I'm putting before the panelist. Yes, Amalama, you can start.
See, as I have said, very clear it is for me as an educationist, for being for so many years, is very clear to me. Hindu Vedic education is the ultimate solution. Nothing else. You belong to any religion, anti-Hindu or Hindu, whatever it is, that is the only solution, existing solution. So we have to explore on that, prepare a curriculum. Now as such, if you ask me, coming into Swamiji's philosophy, listening to him, and with Gurukul education, I am trying with my small group to prepare a curriculum based on that from age 2 to 7 first.
Okay.
From age 2 to 7. Even alphabets when you teach, see, with the nature to learn, like the how, even alphabets I want to put, we are already preparing. For example, when I taught A for Arjun, when I taught, the child was asking, what is the Arjun? Who is the Arjun? So I had to explain.
Okay.
So what are the takeaways?
Okay.
This is the way I have started. So this is
Excellent.
the way to go,
Yeah. So nicely, it is about all educators, please learn the Vedic way of thinking and just see how you can map this to your current education thing,
Yes.
right? That's what you're trying to do. Absolutely great. Yes, Sandhibai, you have any final points to add on?
Yes. So I will focus mostly on the parents' role here. So how does a parent participate in this entire transformation? So for the transformations to happen, there has to be some form of realization. So possibility happens, it comes from the realization. A small story of mine that many of you might relate. Before 2014, most of my thinking was centered around spiritual but not religious, right? Although I was a Hindu, I rarely went to temples or actively participated in Hindu festivals. That is who I was. In 2015, from nowhere, I read a book called Being Different by Rajiv Malhotra. That book transformed me to the point that immediately after finished reading the book, I signed up both my children in my mission. Then I signed up for a transcendental meditation program with Maharishi Mahesh Institute. Then I became a small-time Hindu activist. So what the point that I'm trying to highlight here is, as long as there is not a deep realization that there is a problem and I have to do something, and you can connect with yourself. The most important thing we can do is connect with yourself, connect with as parents, connect with our own upbringing and see where things we could have done differently. Once you make that connection with yourself, that is what is you are reflecting on your child, right? Once you make that connection, the next step falls through.
Yes. So exactly, Swamiji says is parenting is nothing but your evolution, your conscious evolution. So that's where you understand the more and more and more parents has to be evolved spiritually. So they automatically question all things around them. Is my education, my brought up is right? What all the problems I've gone through? I don't want my kids to go through the same. So you look out for what is the best solution possible. Even personally, I end up with Swamiji Gurukuls in that way. Okay, is it really possible? That's the first question. When you start searching and seeking, you get a beautiful place what Swamiji was running. So that's my personal experience. I could able to really relate with what you are saying. It is parents evaluation. So we all have to work or have a mechanisms to evolve this main components of parental conscious evaluations. Thanks, Sandeep. That's a good point, and that's a key takeaway I'm taking from your discussions. Anything else, Durgama? You want to give your last punchline?
Okay, my punchline is I want to tell all the parents, don't be afraid to tread the untrodden path defined by the society. You know, the society tell you that, oh, you need to go into the public school, you need to go to that. Don't follow the pack, because at the end already you're still a rat. So don't let your child be a rat. Let the child be a superhuman beings, that they can find their place and enjoy life and contribute in a meaningful way. So what it means is that whatever out there as an education system right now is outdated. It is already not going to prepare the child for the future. Let's be very, very honest about it. Okay. I have a 17-year-old teenager. I have to, see, with Swamiji's blessings and, his, teaching, I know for a fact that many of the children are not able to fit into the modern education system because it's just, not helping them in any way consciously to develop, but they also find interest in learning. So what I want to, one final punchline to the parents is, take the responsibility for your child's education. Do not fear that the child will be left behind. The moment you're able to connect them to their passion, the creativity, the motivation, everything will start flowing out of their being, from their being itself. So, which means you don't have to worry if the child is able to find their passion and life purpose. That is the only thing that you, as a guide, a parent, create that space for them to find that. When they find it, you can actually see them flowering beautifully as a conscious being. That is my personal experience.
Super. So
thank
you. Thank you. Making the kids to find their Swadharma. Swamiji is beautifully explaining about the one thing you have to teach to your kids is Swadharma. Right? That's what he says very nicely. Thanks, Durgama. Ma Vimukta, you would like to say your final lines? The key takeaways of the action.
So, as Madhuga said, yes, see, the parents, normally we feel whatever is happening, like as an education system, the current thing only is right. We have to break away from that. We know that we have suffered, but still we put our children into the same suffering, thinking that this is the way it is. So let us break out of that and think about the possibility what our child carries and give them the vatavarana, the space to explore and find out what he or she wants to do in life, rather than pushing them into something which probably is the norm, so to say, like, this. So being different is okay. First of all, we need to accept that as a parent. And also, treat this as an opportunity for us also to evolve as a parent, because only when the parent evolves the child will evolve, is what I believe. Because it's sometimes the other way around. Sometimes if the child is really blessed, they go far ahead than the parents, and they start really radiating and teaching the parents and evolving them. Even that I have experienced as a parent, is what I would say. Because it is very important, the parents involvement is very important. We need to support, even if the child is different and wants to do something different, we need to let them explore and not put them into the rat race, is what I believe and I feel. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Nilesh ji, you have any final words to sum up this panel discussion?
Okay, quick thoughts. Wonderful discussion there. And I think Manitya Durganandaji mentioned that the goal of a Gurukula is to get the children ready to live a life and contribute to society by the time they are 21 and supposedly out. The only thing I will add is we don't have to wait until they turn 21. In fact, when they are learning, in fact, in a school, any school, the whole claim that they are studying and learning for 8 hours or 6 hours is a myth. You can't
Exactly.
be just studying and sitting and learning it. So, for example, I'll take Gandhiji. Gandhiji's Nai Talim. Many people may know the word. Nai Talim is a new education. Essentially, he was trying to revive the Gurukula system.
Yeah.
Now, it never got a good name because it was never truly implemented outside his ashram system. What is interesting is what something that Gandhiji was trying to revive, it was implemented by Mao in China. And actually
Oh,
more, I mean, of course, the structure is different, the communism and that, forget that. But he implemented where in the 8 hours, students spend close to 6 hours actually doing things. And why that is important? Because unless they actually do things, they will not know what they like. So we shouldn't be giving them a 21, I mean, not just speaking on what Durgananda ji said, giving some 18 years or 21 years to figure it out. In America, I mean, I do counseling to students, but not to students. I do counseling to adults. I mean, they're like 28-year-old, but still they think they are young. And when I ask them, so what do you do? And the person says, oh, I kind of haven't figured it out yet. I said, it's too late. Okay, so I think we need to, as they are growing up, we need to expose them to do different things. I mean, whether it's a dance or a music and agriculture and business and medicine, whatnot, so that they have some idea what they tend to like. And so it's good to introduce that. And focus education, like a learning can happen in a couple of hours, and they should be given a lot more free time to explore, guided free time, I would say, to figure it out what they tend to be good at.
okay. Thank you. Absolutely beautiful idea of.
Sorry, I would like to add why at 21, because in Singapore, this is the age where, we complete a whole education system. Especially in Singapore, the boys need to serve the army. So by the time they finish, they are 21. That's why I was just saying the age. No, of course, I totally agree with you that the kids should start exploring when they are already a teenager. In fact, as young as they can, they start playing with whatever, their passion. And by and by, they will start figuring out what really, really resonate within their being. So I
So
fully
what?
agree with you,
Yeah,
Nilesh.
yes, I agree with Nilesh ji that this is exactly Swamiji was mentioning once that Amala was also talking about the Aryabhatas and all this Vedic scientists we are talking about. They have achieved everything in the young age. So even he used to say that before at the age of 18, 21 they have to complete the PhD based on what is the Swadharma. So that's what he always talked about. So it's a very fantastic panel and a lot of takeaways, and thanks so much for it. And in short, I mean, it's very difficult to summarize. Such a varied points are there, but what I would like to take upon this, as Swamiji says, it's our in whatever way, whether it's a government or through e-Gurukul or what Margaret Ma was running on learning and transforming schools, there are a lot of initiatives are happening. So as a Hindu, as a Kailasa Hindu education, I mean Kailasa education, we being responsible for the Hindu education system, we should take this to my age, I mean, we should take up this to the, we take Gurukul to the people. I mean, that's what Swamiji said, if you are not coming, we will come to you. So that's where we have an initiative like e-Gurukuls and other things. So let's reach more and more parents, enrich more parents and more kids, and let all these initiatives get success. And that is going to be the starting point of the great golden era of Hindu education. Thank you so much. It's completely pleasure, and I wish to meet all of you once again in our Kailasa dialogue Hindu education, maybe in coming days. Okay, thank you so
Thank you,
much. Thank you,
Nithyananda.
Nithyananda. Thank you.
Nithyanandam.
Thank you, Nithyanandam.
Nithyanandam, Nithyanandam Ayya. Thank you, everyone.
Nithyanandam,
Nithyanandam.
thank you.
Thank you.
So, just as to conclude, I'm just going to remind everyone, as
Yes.
Nileshji was yes. So as Nileshji was talking about how the children should spend only few hours studying or reading, and many hours in other extracurricular activities about whether it's learning, art, science, or that's exactly how the education system, Swamiji, in our Gurukuls, kids actually spend only 2 hours maybe to
Yes.
study the material, but many hours they spend in learning other activities and expressing, without even a formal education of musical instruments. They start just playing and expressing, and actually evolving as beautiful conscious beings. And just one more thing I just want to add to what Avimuktaya was saying about taking the education to, if you are not able to come to Kailasa, Kailasa comes to you. The whole beautiful e-Gurukul system that is being provided, and only Hindu education system, as per Hindu philosophy, Hindu education must be provided free. Being integrated to that, all our Gurukul classes that are being provided, offered either physically or online, are all offered to the whole of humanity. So a beautiful future awaits for all of us. It is just our responsibility to take it and live it and enjoy it. So these beautiful initiatives in reviving all of this, like as Swamiji always reminds this story, when you are thirsty, don't settle for a drainage water. Even if you
True.
have to walk a few miles, go for Ganga. We already have it. The uh, the greatest education system, the Gurukul, the education, Hindu education system, which once existed thousands of years ago. Unfortunately, over the years of persecution, we have lost it, and a very minute trace which now Swamiji is reviving in a beautiful, grand way, and not in one part of the world, not in one corner of the world. He's making it available in every corner of the world. If it's not physical, it is through online, it is coming to wherever you are. So it is but our choice, wherever we are. We can only, you cannot force feed a horse. We can only take the horse to the water, the horse has to drink, right, if it chooses to. So where, like that, he has brought this, even this Hindu voting for system for the first time, so that we have the right, the choice to make our decisions, how our life should be, how our future generation should live. So the Hindu voting system is just created only for us. So let us make use of this opportunity. The Hindu votes are sacred. The hashtag Hindu votes are sacred. So please cast your vote, kailasa.org/Hindu votes. So with that, I thank Avi Muktaya and all the panelists for coming and sharing. And I would like to request Avi Muktaya, any words that you would like to share with respect to your experience, conducting Gurukul, e-Gurukul for, and taking it to different places. What is your experience that you would say with respect to the modern education system and the Gurukul system, and how our kids are flourishing?
Thank you. So, since I thought of, being a moderator, I thought of, getting voice opinion from other panelists. Thanks for this opportunity, even. Uh, as I said, my journey is so beautiful, and as a parent, all this journey starts as a seeking parent, spiritual seeking parent. So when you start evolving consciously, you end up in some solutions for that. So when I just looking for the right solution, so I just happen to see our Gurukul. That's where actually my you know uh, journey starts. the way in which the Gurukul get conducted, then next good thing it happened to me is I take the opportunity or responsibility of Gurukul Acharya, and it helps me to go there and catch up with many schools in India. We have taken Swamiji educations in schools, colleges, many places we have seen. To tell you, yes, it's not always success. It's some places been accepted well, some places it's okay, but that gives us a very I'm very confidently, I'm clear internally that existing system doesn't work. Okay, so I don't know how other people have understood or not. I'm very clearly understand the existing so-called secular system will not work. So I mean, it's not about an individual, it's about a system. Okay, article, I can just tell many things. Article 25, and even the kind of atrocities our Gurukul have gone through. It's the biggest genocide. The only answers, so beautifully Swamiji was evolving that, and the kind of attack we faced, and kind of I'll say the illegal attack is genocide. It's we have to talk we have to talk in length about it. So it's so bad, but with all that we are standing, and Swamiji is giving this opportunity to the world. So personally, it's an excellent experience for me, and we invite all of you to have this experience. I want every parents, it's not that you have to be a parent, probably you may be having some kids in your family, so I request all of you to take up this uh, you know responsibility of connecting with this kind of an alternative educations, and uh, you know provide the better future for the kids. That's my experience. Thanks so much, Prima, for so much. So,
Yes,
yeah.
thank you. Yeah. So yes, the education system that it's a huge topic, and we can actually go on sharing about the benefits of it. And as each one of the parents here have shared, the especially from the Gurukul, we can see how the children growing with such confidence. Many of us, even to go speak in a panel, or speaking in a public, would be some we have to, it's something that is unimaginable for us to speak in a panel. Immediately, or will I be able to speak? Will my fear come? Am I good at language? Am I, all these kind of unnecessary self doubts that we get? Definitely when there are Gurukul kids, we can see that that is definitely not there. Their confidence in taking up anything, whether it is public speech or learning new things, we can see that their confidence in expressing themselves, and fully evolved conscious beings, especially with the power manifestation that they express, this possibility, most of the world, most of the kids around the world do not, as the level of language itself is completely different. As Nilesh, you were sharing about, I'm not sure what to do with my life. That is not something uncommon. This is something that we hear in different age group, whether it is kids or youth. In most of the many parts of the world, we hear this. But where the level of language or discussion that we see, where the youth or kids are at that stage, I'm not sure what I want to become, or how my future is going to be. To that is the lowest like level of a conversation a person could have, versus when the children from a very young age are brought up in a Hindu education system. The introduction is, you are God, you are Parameshwar. That is the introduction. That is where the kids are starting to learn. So there is no question of, okay, what am I going to become? Because I know who I am, and I just have to realize it, or start expressing it. And our kids even start expressing it from a very young age.
Yes. So any audio problems?
I think it's the internet.
Yes, internet problem.
The confidence that we can see different. As Madhurga was saying earlier, kids are unsure. They're not prepared to handle this or prepared to handle life. Education system that we see today does not prepare a person for life. I think I'm having
Yes.
some technical.
think we lost her, right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So maybe a few minutes. Okay.
She's back.
She's back. Yeah.
My Gurukul is 100% free. Food, stay, education, everything is free. Because Sadashiva says, Guru is supposed to beg and feed the disciples. I said, I may beg physically or in the internet, but I will beg and feed my disciples. My Gurukul is 100% free. Not only I am teaching them English, maths, science, I am teaching them true history. I am teaching them the real powers and possibilities they can manifest. I am teaching them life. Only thing, I am not doing the stupid things which you guys have designed for a generalized way. Understand? All generalization creates more blind spots. When there is a Google Earth available, Google Map is available, why will I make them memorize the capitals of all the countries and states? Macaulay's time it was not there, so you have to memorize. Capital of India is Delhi and capital of Tamil Nadu is Chennai. You have to memorize. Now there is a Google Earth and Google Map. Just Google it, that's all. They need to be taught Googling. I am only removing all those stupid blind spots become part of the education because of the generalization. Understand? All generalization is faulty generalization. All generalization is faulty generalization. Jealousy, comparison is the byproduct of the faulty generalization. It is utter stupidity to give marks to human beings. Utter stupidity to give marks to human beings. It is like I saw memes in the Facebook. There is a fish in a pot, and there is a monkey, there is an elephant, there is a zebra, there is a snake, there is a crocodile, there is a tiger. And the educationist says, to have a fair game, we will have the examination. Who claims this tree first? Please start. That is what I call faulty generalization. What will happen to the fish if he comes out of the water to climb the tree? All generalization is faulty generalization. Understand? What I am trying to convey, I will give you the essence. Media wants me to do the charity of what they think as best. I am doing the charity of what is best. If you think food is the best thing happened in your life, you can do just annadan. If you think education is the best thing happened in your life, you share that with the world. That's your charity. If you think clothes are the best things happened to your life and you share the clothes, vastradana, that's your charity. If you think enlightenment and spiritual powers are the best thing happened in your life, you share that with the world. That's all I am doing.
What I mean by the word KAILASA, listen intensely. Enlightenment ecosystem, literally enlightenment itself, in your own home, wherever you are. If you cannot come to Kailasa, it's okay. Kailasa can come to you. Kailasa coming to you is Kailasa.
Yes.
What I did, in the case of a Mahabharata, it started with one specific astronomy observation, and what the big deal about that observation was that is not true in our times. But Vyasa, the writer of Mahabharata, is saying that that was the case at the time of Mahabharata war. So, and astronomers around the world were thinking this is something impossible in the very order of nature. In fact, that observation was used by the, I can say, the secular media, secular academia, as to point fingers at Mahabharata and say, look, they write all kinds of stuff which is not even possible. But that's where the Shraddha comes into the picture, the trust. I said, why would Vyasa write something that is totally sounds ridiculous? So I studied on it. It took me 15 years. But when I finally found what it did, it gave me a very solid scientific, I mean, as good as it gets, the bounds, which said Mahabharata war is not possible. It happened, but it did not happen in last 6,500 years. So then the question is, when did it happen? And actually that particular observation gave me specific bounds. Then I extracted 300 plus different astronomy observations, and think of like solving a Rubik's cube or a jigsaw puzzle or a crossword puzzle. Like all these 300 pieces fit like that into that jigsaw puzzle, and they all pointed me to one specific year, 5561 BCE, just for simplicity, more than 7,500 years ago.
So if I understand right,